I'm Harrison Graham. This is Chicago Bears Now. I've got an updated 53-man roster projection. Some things have changed since the last time we've done this exercise. One, we've gone through OTAs and mandatory minicamp. And two, the Bears have signed two notable veterans in Marcedes Lewis and DeAndre Carter, two guys that are strong candidates to make the 53-man roster. So that certainly can shake things up. We'll get to it coming up here on today's show. But if you like where the Bears roster sits right now, especially in comparison to recent years, hit that like button. I don't see how you couldn't. Ryan Poles has done a great job flipping this thing on its head over the last 24 months. So if you're fired up, if you like this roster right now, hit that like button. All right, let's go quarterback. I'm just going to keep two guys on the 53, Caleb Williams, Tyson Bagent. I thought about Brett Rypien, keeping a veteran in there, but I think you can probably get him to the practice squad, so that's kind of my thinking there. Tyson Bagent proved last year he can be a quality backup, went 2-2 in 4 starts. Obviously, number one pick, Caleb Williams, he's your starter. So Brett Rypien, Austin Reed gets cut. Maybe one or both make the practice squad. You would certainly have somebody on your practice squad as a third QB if you only carry 2. Ideally, that's Rypien. And if they like Reed as a developmental guy, I don't mind keeping 2 guys in the practice squad considering you have 16 spots. All right, running back. This is a change I made. I've cut Travis Homer. I'm keeping 3 running backs plus a fullback. DeAndre Swift, Khalil Herbert, Roschon Johnson as your 3 backs. And then Khari Blasingame as your fullback. Travis Homer cut, so is Ian Wheeler. Similar skill sets there, so maybe one of those guys makes the roster. But I think also you could keep a guy like Ian Wheeler on the practice squad, the UDFA, who's a pretty good pass catcher and can do some things as a returner and on special teams as a whole. So maybe you cut Homer loose, he signs as a vet elsewhere, and then Wheeler is your practice squad developmental guy. Wide receiver got 6, just like last time, but a couple of changes here. The same first 4, DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Odunze, Tyler Scott. The 3 guys on the left of your screen are locks. I think Tyler Scott's pretty safe as well as a 4th-round pick from last year. DeAndre Carter, who signed recently, that signing felt significant to me. I've got him making the team as your returner and can do some things in the offense. And then I'm going to go Collin Johnson. That means Velus Jones and Dante Pettis get cut. Obviously, they have similar skill sets. If you keep DeAndre Carter, he can be your kick and your punt returner. Ideally, you still get Velus to the practice squad. It wouldn't shock me, though, if a team poached him with his 4.31 speed and give him a second opportunity there. Maybe if he gets poached, Pettis goes under your practice squad. That's certainly an option as well. And I know I'm going to get asked, why Collin Johnson over Velus? Well, I think it's just a skill set thing. If DeAndre Carter makes this football team, and I think he will, I think Jones becomes expendable. He's a better kickoff returner than DeAndre Carter, but Carter can handle that responsibility plus do other things like punt return, play some receiver, all of that. Collin Johnson offers a different skill set. He found a role as a good blocking receiver last year. He could be almost like your 4th tight end as well. We'll get to that position in a sec. He could be your new Equinemius St. Brown, just big wide receiver on the outside that can play some big slot, good blocker in the run game. A lot of time when you get to these depth positions at these skill spots, it's like, okay, how can we differentiate? Because if you go Velus Jones over Collin Johnson, well, your backups kind of all do similar things. They're guys who can be return specialists, and they're kind of gadget speedsters offensively. Well, if you already have a couple of those guys, do you need another one? So I went Collin Johnson. I could see it going either way, but I think wide receivers 4 through 7, 4 through 8 is all going to be very, very competitive. All right, so out of these 4 players, which 2 are you keeping to make the roster? So type 2 of these initials. VJ for Velus Jones, CJ for Collin Johnson, DC for DeAndre Carter, DP for Dante Pettis. Let me know which 2 you're keeping on the 53-man roster. All right, let's go to tight end now. So I mentioned Collin Johnson could kind of be that 4th tight end as well. 3 traditional tight ends make the roster. Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, Marcedes Lewis. I just don't think you have a guy right now that's worthy of keeping as a 4th tight end on the 53. Steven Carlson, Tommy Sweeney, Brendan Bates. I think any of these 3 would be worthy of a practice squad spot. Maybe you keep 2 of them over there, but I don't think you need one on the 53, especially if you carry Collin Johnson. Your trios is a pretty good-looking trio, if I'm being honest. I think this position's pretty cut and dry here. Offensive line, I'm going to keep 9. I think this is the same 9 I kept last time. Starters on the left side, with obviously, subject to change. But from left to right, Braxton Jones, Teven Jenkins, Ryan Bates at center, Nate Davis at right guard, Darnell Wright at right tackle. Obviously, center and right guard, somewhat in flux here. The rookie, Karan Amagaji, who can play tackle and guard. Matt Eberflus recently said he's expected to be ready for training camp as he's been recovering from an injury suffered last season at Yale. Coleman Shelton, your backup center guard, who could end up starting at center as well if Bates needs to play right guard, depending on what's going on with Nate Davis. Matt Pryor can play some guard, can play some tackle. I think he makes this team. And I think DeAndre Carter does as well. I think they like where he's at in his development, so I think he makes it. And then I've got Larry Borom as a notable cut. Again, what's working against Borom is that if the Bears cut him, they save over $3 million in salary cap space. And when he's at best your 8th or 9th offensive lineman, you might as well save the $3 million and keep a guy like Matt Pryor, who's only going to cost you a little over $1 million. So I think that's just a money game. It's not necessarily that Borom's not worthy of being on the 53. It's just if you're on the bubble and someone can give you similar production for a third of the cost, it's kind of an easy decision for these teams. Defensive line now. Montez Sweat, obviously. Javon Dexter, Andrew Billings, DeMarcus Walker, your 4 projected starters as of now. Zach Pickens, second-year defensive tackle. He's safe. So is Austin Booker, who they just drafted. I think Jake Martin's in line to make this team as of now. I think when the pads go on, the edge, the defensive tackle, depth positions, that's when guys will make their money or where they'll get cut. I got Michael Dwumfor making it. I was kind of reluctant finding a 4th defensive tackle, but you need somebody. I got Dominique Robinson making it too. Last time I had Kareem, but I was listening to Hogan Johns, and Johns pointed out that Robinson looks a lot bigger, so I was like, okay, maybe he gets another shot. And then I'm going to go with the 10th defensive lineman. Whether it's edge or defensive tackle, I still think they sign somebody. I'm a free agent defensive lineman that you think the Bears should sign. Is it someone I just mentioned? Is it someone else I'm not thinking of? Drop a name in the comments below and let me know where you stand. All right, I kind of tussled with this one. I'm sticking with the same 5 linebackers as last time. Your 2 primary starters, TJ Edwards, Tremaine Edmonds, Jack Sanborn, who's your Sam linebacker, Noah Sewell, who was drafted last year. He's your number 4 guy. Eamon O, he's your new special teamer who can also play a little bit of off-ball linebacker. He replaces Dylan Cole this season. Thought about putting Micah Baskerville on this team, but I think he's more of a practice squad candidate for now. Join the family. Subscribe to Chicago Bears Now. It takes 1 click, and it's 100% free. I challenge you to do it. 1 click. Did it. That's it. We appreciate it. Give us a week. Show support. If you don't like what we do, then, hey, you can always unsubscribe. Cornerbacks, I'm going to go with 6. I think the same 6 I did last time. Your 3 starters on the left, Jalen Johnson, Tyreek Stevenson is your outside guys. Kyler Gordon is your nickel. Terrell Smith, who's an excellent CB4, can play some nickel or outside. Jalen Jones, good special teamer, as is Josh Blackwell, who's also a nice backup nickel. You've got a guy like Greg Stroman Jr. in the mix who could push for a spot, but I think he's on the outside looking in. I really like this room, man. I think on paper, receiver and corner are your best positions. I think your starting receivers have a chance to be a little bit better, a little higher end overall, but I think the depth at corner is pretty damn good. All 6 of those guys have played quite a bit, so I like this unit. I think it's one of the stronger ones on the team. Go to safety now. I'm going to keep 5 safeties here. I think the same 5. I think the secondary is the same as before. My last roster projection. Kevin Byard, Jaquan Brisker, your 2 starters. Jonathan Owens, your new number 3 safety. Still got Elijah Hicks on the team. He's a good special teamer, as is Quindell Johnson, who I think they like his developmental traits as a coverage safety, so they keep him around. Hicks and Johnson certainly could be some names on the roster bubble. And then special teams, pretty simple. Cairo Santos is the kicker, Torrey Taylor's the punter, and Patrick Scales, longest tenured Bear on the team. He is the long snapper. So there you have it, my 53-man roster projection following minicamp and OTAs. If you love the Bears, like this video. Appreciate everybody for tuning in to Chicago Bears Now. If there's any major egregiouses you have with my 53-man roster, let me know in the comments. We'll see you soon.